And we're live, so hello everyone, and welcome to Wingin It. So we have another tournament live stream game coming for you today, again from the Vouillé Duck Dash. So this time we're on round 5, which is the quarterfinals, and we have a really good set of matches here for you today between Visme and Kolaru. So Davim's one of our long-standing server members, been around for quite a while, and has a really good record in tournaments. Kolaru's been around for a while as well, but kind of quietly been going through the rounds in this tournament, and yeah, done very well to get to the quarterfinal stage, as I say. But there's a place in the semi-finals up for grabs here. And talking me through this set of 3 matches is my good friend Groovenstein. So welcome, Groovenstein. How are you?
Hello, I'm fantastic, man. We have such an amazing match to look forward to. 2 very strong players.
Absolutely.
I I told you a few minutes before I was rocketing some cereal down. I figure with these 2, there's a good chance that we go to game 3 and we're in it for the long haul. I guess part of that too is I'm not sure what takes longer, me getting a sentence out or Davim calculating a turn in round 4, but we'll I'm in it. I'm ready to go. So
Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, it would not surprise me one bit if this goes to game 3. Davim got a lot of experience. Like I said, a lot of good tournament records there. But Kalaru's looked very strong and fought very well to get to this stage of the tournament. So yeah, absolutely. I'm expecting some good matches, some high scoring, and yeah, some real close competition here. But yeah, I think we're ready to go in. So Kalaru is going to be starting game 1. So Davim, I think, is sending other invites. So if you could do that, and we'll get the show on the road. So best of luck to both players.
yeah, Davim's. That's not at all what I expected Denmark to look like. It's
Yeah,
it's it's like the Civil War in Hawaii. What is that?
yeah, he's splashed out on one of those fancy new backgrounds that Monster Cash released recently. But
Very nice.
very nice indeed. So, as I said, we've got Kalaru going first. They very quickly disappeared from their starting hand, so I don't know if it was so bad that they didn't even want to look at it, or are they looking at that hornlark in the tray? Who knows?
It is OP. It is
It is
OP.
okay.
No, you know what? I totally do that sometimes where I'll just like I'll just get my hand and just go look at the tree real quick. But no, that's there's at least the chickadee is a decent starting bird, A tier bird. Not much for the wetlands for them other than the bittern. So I and I think it does make sense for them to keep that, just to have a wetland bird. Plus, that's it looks like the bacon nests are round 1 EOR. So to me anyway, I think it seems like a straightforward chickadee bittern combo, and then maybe you hope potentially you can grab the sparrow out of the tray at some point during the round. That is a nice bird, but yeah, that's my read on it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when bacon's on the menu, you want to go for that bit and get it down in that first round. I
Yeah.
think absolutely. Yeah, it's not kind of an ideal wetland bird. It is a bit risky getting it down in that first round because you're kind of relying on your opponent building out their wetlands if you're going to be able to use that power. But yeah, I mean, they have got no other option in terms of a wetland bird, so absolutely makes sense to go for that. Interesting on the bonus card choice, so they have the bird counter or the eulogist, and it looks like they might be going for the bird counter. And considering they don't have any tucking birds at the moment, that feels like a bit of a gamble to me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm I'm not sure that I would. I mean, I'm it. Other than a very specific scenario where maybe you say, you start with a couple tucking birds and it's just clear that you're going full tuck, which is really where that bird counter bonus shines.
Yeah.
Other than that kind of scenario, I don't can't envision myself ever keeping that over the oologist, especially since you look at all those EORs. I mean, they're all incentivized towards grassland building. So
Exactly right. Well, now we have Davim's hand, and we've got a raven. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
yeah.
Shut me up. It's they've got the Rudy Duck and the Raven, and they've got uh, I was about to say a comedy of errors. That doesn't make sense. No, it's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of good options. I think even if I saw that hand without the raven, I'd still think, okay, this is workable. Some good forest birds, some good wetland option. I mean, that Rudy Duck, they already kind of need something for their wetlands, and they need something for this end of round goal. It's going to tick both of those boxes. So, yeah, I think if you're Davim here, you take the raven and the Rudy Duck, you get the Rudy Duck down, and then you just start drawing cards. I mean, he's going for that hawk as well. I can maybe understand that if he's going to try and sort of steal this second end of round goal, and it can feel a bit slow sometimes if you do know you've got the raven. You don't want to waste too many turns getting food or building up that forest that you're not going to use. But yeah, it's certainly some interesting choices, even with an obvious pick like the raven in there.
Yeah, well, that's even I mean the Rudy Duck and the Raven is of course a setup anybody would be thrilled to have in their starting hand, but it does always present an issue, because the Raven, with the house rule, where you can't play it until the start of the second round, and because it costs 3 food, you've got kind of a situation where, okay, you're not really incentivized to like you say build up a forest that you're not going to use, but at the same time it's you need 3 food to play the bird plus another food at least to play whatever you're going to build up in that wetlands that you need. So it's while of course it's an enviable start, it is something that you always want to make sure that you manage, where you're not spending too many turns just drawing a single food.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you make some good points there. If you keep the raven and the Ruddy Duck, then you're not going to have enough food. You're already committing to one turn, getting that raven. I think what Davim is looking at here, he's seeing there's a rodent in the tray and thinking, okay, I can maybe hope to get that. He'll get the Ruddy Duck down here. He's probably going to get the hawk down. A couple of birds for that end of round goal. He can start digging for cards. The chances are he's going to pick up some that aren't the best anyway, so he can always discard those when going for food. He's got that rodent, like I said, and then you just need a couple more food. I mean, really, it's all about timing. I think he's probably thought. I mean, we know Davim likes to sort of plan ahead and calculate the options available. I wouldn't be surprised if, in thinking and picking his hand, he's planned out this first round to get those birds down, have enough turns drawing cards, but also give himself time to get those food for the raven at the end.
Sure, no doubt, and that sparrow is. I see that he's eyeing that. That'd be a great pickup for him, of course. But there's a couple things you want to always remember with, and I know you know this, but with the raven, where one is that it's really to your advantage to try to get one and two food cost birds down, just because the raven can only generate 2 food at a time, right? So anytime you can get good points or good resources for just the 1 or 2 food that you're going to get in one turn from the raven, that's good. So the sparrow works well from that for that. The other thing is, of course, that when you're running a grassland engine with birds like the raven or the Franklin's gull or anything else that's consuming eggs, you need other birds to pick up the slack in terms of egg generation. And so the Cassin sparrow is a great pickup for that on both counts.
Yep, completely agree with that. I think I see it a few times, that solo raven or solo Franklin's gull in the grasslands. It's a really strong power, but it can be so slow those first few turns because, you're getting that food or those cards, but you're only getting 1 egg at a time. And it's such a struggle. Really, you just need something. I don't think it matters what. You just need something as that second grassland bird to at least let you get those extra eggs. And yeah, something like the Cassin sparrow that's, it's basically generating those eggs that the raven is then going to discard. And certainly, as it looks at the moment, Davim's not going to be too short on egg spaces for the time being. And yeah, another good bird they picked up there as well, the Forster's Tern. That's going to help that star nest with 3 of those end of round goals. It's going to help with their bonus card, but also just that card generation, that card cycle. It's so often seen with a raven in the grasslands is it all depends on what your card draw is. And having something like the turn with the Rudy Duck, it just gives you so many more options to find the cards that you want to play.
No, absolutely. And one thing, just to go back on what you were saying at the beginning with the Bittern, where you always have that concern, like how much are you really going to be able to use this power, and what Kolaru doesn't know that we do is it's actually very fortunate for them, that that is a really strong counter to the Raven, because with the Raven, another issue that you have is that you're gonna you need cards, and short of something like a gull or something in the grassland that's going to allow you to generate additional cards, you really need with the grassland Raven to have a strong wetland. And so Kolaru will be in a position where they will get to use that returns power over the course of the game, I think.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we already saw them use it on that last turn. I think you can justify using it in this case where both players are going to benefit. But obviously, as we see, Davim is going to get that Forces turn down, as soon as possible, really, just to help with their own card draw. But yeah, that's a really strong position, I think, for Kolaru. And as soon as that Forces turn does go down, then Kolaru knows, okay, I'm using this Bittern, I'm going to be able to see 3 cards a turn, and I'm going to be the only one benefiting from that power. And that's always a nice feeling, I think, especially when you do see your opponent play a Raven in that round 2. You don't want to be giving them 3 cards if you can avoid it, because you're just playing into their hands, really.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's nothing worse than dropping a snipe or a canvas back and thinking, oh, okay, I can rely on this to generate extra cards for me, and then your opponent plops a Raven down, and all of a sudden that power doesn't look so sexy.
Absolutely. So, in an interesting turn from Kolaru just then, it was picked up by Tug and Cash in the chat. So they have the Nuthatch that they could have played before gaining food, but they chose to go for food first. Now, I can only imagine the plan here is play the Blue Jay and use that Blue Jay's power to take extra food, just to maybe try and help get these birds down quicker. And obviously the Nuthatch is a really strong option. Probably the drawback is that you have to cache that food. You can't keep it for use, and really in that early game you kind of want to be keeping that food to help you play more birds. At least with something like the Blue Jay, you can choose to keep that instead, and maybe play birds a bit quicker. Although they're probably going to be looking at that bird feeder and thinking, this is not great. You need the seeds in the bird feeder to be able to use that, and yeah, they've drawn a blank there.
Yeah, this is not the food that they were hoping for sure, and particularly since it's going to take 2 pieces of food before they can reset it. So now I'm wondering why they're thinking about dropping the Condor here, which in a way kind of neuters the Bittern. Like,
exactly, yeah, that's just what I was thinking. All those points we were making about the strength of the Bittern and running that as a solo wetland bird, you do kind of you're not going to benefit from that now. Obviously we know Davim is going to try and get that Forces turn down, but if you're in Kolaru's position, you see that, and now that Bittern is useless to you, because if you activate that power, only your opponent benefits from it, and not you. So yeah, a bit of a strange one there. I would maybe have expected that to go in their forest, which it looked like they were originally going to play, just to at least build that out, give you the option of getting a couple of food and maybe a cache as well. But yeah, this certainly feels a little bit slow. I think they need to get some forest birds down and start gaining food so they can actually start to build something here.
Yeah, and I mean, effectively, like playing that Condor there, I mean, it accomplishes it doesn't accomplish anything, because the net result is that you can still generate only 2 cards, right? So yeah, I guess I don't feel the need to kind of belabor that point, but
no, what's done is done. The decision has been made, so they will. Unfortunately, I think their spot there. Yep, you've got to skip that power now. So, but yeah, just kind of going back onto Davim. It feels like they've kind of got everything sorted in this round. I think the Casting Sparrow play here makes sense. It's a bit unfortunate because it will leave them 1 food short for the Ravens, so they are going to have to spend that initial turn at the the start of round 2, getting that food to help get that raven down. But I like that play. I think, you know, they were already going to need to lay eggs if they were going to target this end of round goal, and just getting that sparrow down now means that they can plop the raven on top of that in round 2, and yeah, you're good to go. You get those wetland birds down and kind of just start digging.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sparrow. That's one of the things with the sparrow in the in the very early game. It can be helpful, in situations where, I mean, being able to get 3 eggs instead of 2 on a on a grassland activation earlier in the game, when I mean, egg laying isn't really the priority early on, but just the advantage of being able to get that extra egg, as you say, is it's really helpful in the early stages.
Yep, absolutely. So we do see Davim go for food. And yeah, that hawk has paid for itself. Four successful hunts out of 4 throughout the first round and the start of the second round. You know, that's going to be retired now. He's not going to need to use that again. But yeah, getting 7 points from that single rodent, while also enabling him to get the food for that raven down in round 2. You can't really ask for much more than that.
Is it conspiracy time? Is that, I mean, do we upgrade the hawk to OP status?
I wasn't going to talk about conspiracy theories here, but you've mentioned it, so there we go.
I'm assuming it's like on the bingo card or something.
It's
I
almost
haven't
always
looked.
on the bingo.
Yeah, I haven't looked. I want to be, I want to keep things pure and
Yeah,
clean, and make sure that if we have a bingo, it's a legitimate bingo. But yeah, we could just say the word conspiracy when we start the game, and then just be
indeed.
done with it.
Yeah. So Kolaru goes for cards again. It does kind of feel like it's getting to this point now where they're almost just going raven digging. You know, they're just keep on drawing cards. I
Oh
think
boy.
and there you go, reveal the Sandhill Crane for your opponent, which
Oh.
is not good at end well for them. But yeah, I feel like Kolaru's got some good cards, perfectly workable cards. You know, they had the Nuthatch, they had the Blue Jay. Really, they could have started to get those down. You know, instead they've picked up so many of these big point birds. You know, we see that they've got the American Woodcock. They've got, I think it's the Long Spur bonus card in the grassland. Yeah, there you go. You know, these birds that need 3 food. You just look at their forest at the moment and you think, how are you going to get the food for that? They've got maybe a nice option. I think they would probably be looking at doing Vireo into Nuthatch here, and then at least you're able to get a couple of food as well as that cached food. But yeah, it certainly feels a bit slow here. Just no forest bird this far into the game is certainly a slow one.
And they just got the bad news.
Yep, they did indeed. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely going to be slow going for them. I mean, that Bittern is not going to see any more action. They've got I mean, you got to figure Davim's in a much stronger position right now.
Yeah, I mean, I almost think here, you know, if you're Davine, do you delay playing that turn as long as possible? I mean, obviously, you know, it's good for him. It's got that star nest. I think he will want to get it down in this second round. Obviously, you know, as soon as he sees that Kolaru has played this star nest as well, he'll want to get it down. But yeah, you know, for as long as Davine only has 1 wetland bird, like you said, that Bittern is absolutely useless for Kolaru. So obviously, we do see him play it here. Maybe it's going to work out as well, because actually if Kolaru is going to activate that, that's more free cards for Davim. So I think really in that situation it works out either way.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then the next time Davim gets to go for cards, it's he's going to be getting to look at 5 and keep 3. And if any one of those 5 is a grassland tuck and draw, then you can just about GG it at that point.
Yeah. So it's just been pointed out in the chat that we not only did we have conspiracy theories on the bingo, but we had 2 conspiracy theory squares on the bingo. Now, I can't think of a much bigger conspiracy theory than that, than being so sure of there being conspiracy theories, than putting 2 of them on the bingo board. You know, I don't know who was responsible for that. I don't know how that slipped through, but there you go.
Oh yeah, it's hashtag rigged.
Exactly. Yeah, we knew the conspiracies were going to come up. But you know those tuck and draw cards you just talking about, Violet Green Swallow, absolutely perfect for Devine there. And
Oh yeah.
is that? It's not the right nest type, is it? But I don't think that matters. You know, you lay eggs once here, you get the 2 grubs to get that swallow down, and yeah, I think if it wasn't already GG, I think it probably is now because he's got that really strong card draw. He's going to be getting free cards from his opponent like this as well. And yeah, you just cycle through that grasslands. You use the tuck and draw, get rid of your bad cards, cycle through to get some good ones, and then use the Raven to get as much food as you want. And you know, I'm sure he's going to be getting that Sandhill Crane down before too long, and that's absolutely going to help with the point scoring as well.
Yeah, and I mean we can see Kolaru's got one of the ways you can really hope to limit the Raven's power is with one of those pink egg-laying birds like the yellow-billed cuckoo that he's got. But I mean, I think Devine is just really too strong at this point to be able to overcome that. Particularly, I mean, you look at the rest of his grasslands. It's going to be the Violet Green Swallow and the Sandhill Crane, and he's just going to be able to put up huge numbers. I mean, I think once you net the egg on that crane, you're looking at what, a 7 or 8 point grasslands just with those 4 birds alone. And if somehow he's able to pick up something like a capper or mockingbird on one of those draws, it's just he's going to be able to put up big numbers.
Absolutely. So good smart play, I think, here from Kolaru. Just get this big point bird down, and it will allow them to snatch the end of round goal. So I think in situations like this where you are up against a really tough engine, obviously the Raven that we see, and knowing these other birds that are going to come down, you've got to try and steal points where you can. And I think just this kind of situation awareness where you see, okay, my opponent, they've only got 1 turn left. And they've not got that 3rd ground nest down. So if I play this woodcock, I can lay eggs into it. And it's not kind of the best bird that you'd look to play at this point. It's maybe a little bit early, but I think purely for those extra 3 points that you're going to be getting from this end of round goal, that feels like a smart play.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and if you look at it from their setup, I mean, how are they going to win this game, right? If Kolaru has a path to victory, what is it? Well, right now they've got really no engine to speak of, right? And we're already at the end of round 2,
yep.
And they don't really have many engine building cards in their hand either. So their path to victory, I think, is going to be stuff like that. It's just getting those big point birds down, getting those bonus cards down, and hoping to hit those good. And doing what you say, where I mean, stealing 3 points on the EOR is it's an easy thing for you to do when you consider that the way that you win this game is going to be by playing those big point birds. Well, you may as well pick up the 3 EOR where you can.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you say, when you don't have those engine building birds, I think you do have to think a little bit differently about your point scoring. Obviously, these big point birds, bonus point birds, like Kolaru's got in their hand, they've got a couple, but these pink powers as well. So the bronze cowbird, I think they kind of had their eye on that in the tray as soon as they could really get their hands on it. But also they've got another one in the cuckoo in their hand. So maybe they can look to get a couple of those down, and then you don't need to worry about laying eggs. They've got a decent enough forest at the moment.
Geez.
They'll hope to build that
up. Yeah, I was just. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a commentator gets distracted. Box, you can go ahead and just turn that one black. But I mean, it's Devine just picks up the trumpeter swan, and it's like, here you go, mate. Just have a monster bird. It goes with your bonus card. It's all the points, like, here.
Yeah, here's the perfect bird, really. I think maybe something like a mockingbird, like you talked about earlier. That's another kind of bird he's looking for. But yeah, like you say, if if you're looking for a free card from your opponent, let's make it a 9-point bird that fits with your bonus card. Absolutely lovely.
The only way to improve it really would be to switch that bonus card to omnivore. That's about it.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, I think Davim pretty straightforward. They've got the tuck and draw down, so they can cycle through some of these birds. They're going to draw things like the bluebird, but it doesn't matter. I think in situations like this, you actually want to have at least one bad bird in your hand to allow you to tuck. As soon as you get in that position where you have so many good cards you want to play them all, that forces you back to your wetlands. But yeah, I think he's just going to cycle through. Interesting, he has gone for the cherry here though, so I wonder if that's a little bit of a hint that maybe he's going to go for like a bluebird into Santal Crane double play. I think that last end of round goal is that cavity nest type, so that might be something he's got his eye on.
Yeah, well, I think it's not just that, but I think it's also with the Raven when you can. There's more so than when you don't have that bird in your fort. I mean, getting to that fifth spot in the grassland, particularly when there's still several turns left, is huge, because what you can do is it, because it's able to generate 2 food per egg, right? As it gets towards the end, where to the point where he doesn't want to use that food to play birds anymore. I mean, what he can do is he can take one seed and feed that to the crane, and then be using the other one to generate additional eggs. So I think he's probably going to be, it's like the sandpiper, and basically becomes the the tucking bird, and you just kind of plan on, in most situations, just kind of tucking whatever you get, barring unless some crazy amazing bird comes up.
Yep.
You just plan on you tucking that, and just keep smashing that grassland.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another strength of this bluebird, you look at the Santal Crane, it's only got 1 egg space, so as soon as Davine plays that and you get those 4 eggs a turn, you're going to run out of egg spaces pretty quickly. But I think the bluebird here kind of makes up for that. It's got 5 egg spaces of its own. He's just cleared 4 egg spaces as well by playing these 2 birds, so heading into this real late game is where you don't want your engine to stall where you're running out of egg space. And certainly he's kind of preempted that, and yeah, kind of solved that problem before it's come one. And he can very easily run through this grasslands, and yeah, by the time he even gets close to running out of egg spaces, he'll be able to play that swan, or any other nice big point bird he's managed to draw.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's that egg space management, and in an engine like this, even if he's only generating 4 eggs per grassland net, if when you consider before that crane, right? So he gets you get 4 eggs, then spend 1 to get the food, and then gain 1 back from the sparrow. I mean, when you're only looking at what would have been 17 spots, I mean, that's going to fill up right quick.
Yep, and like you said, he's managed to get this effectively. It's what is it going to be, 7 points? He's got those 4 eggs, the 2 tucks on the crane, and on the swallow. I mean, it's so strong, and even just running that without even the possibility of playing these big point birds is nice as well. But yeah, he did go for cards on that last turn. Didn't draw some great ones, but I don't think it matters. He's already got that swan, like we said. He's going to have to play that, and yeah, this is kind of just more tucking material, I guess. You cycle through using that violet green swallow. You're looking for bonus card birds, big point birds. He's got plenty of space in that forest, so you can easily get birds down without having to pay too much in the egg cost. So yeah, I think certainly lots of options for Davine going forward here.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he knows he's going to have to tuck, or excuse me, he's going to have to go back for cards at least 1 more time, right? So, or I shouldn't say at least 1 more time. Hopefully, only 1 more time. So go back, get them, so you can start kind of cycling through them, and as you say, you're going to pick up some stuff that's worth playing. So you may as well, kind of get looking at all your options and start cycling out the bad ones.
Yep, absolutely. So someone's asking in the chat about Kolaru's bonus cards. I think we did see they took the bird counter at the start, and I think it was the food web expert was the other one they got. So if that is the case, they're looking at a complete blank on 2 bonus cards, which, like we were talking about earlier, when you're coming up against a strong engine like this, and you've not got a great point scoring engine yourself, you need to look at big point birds and bonus cards and end of round goals. He's kind of hitting the big point birds. He's done okay on some of these end of round goals, but yeah, if you're not scoring highly from those bonus cards, and we know Davim's going to max out the one that he's already got, yeah, you don't give yourself a lot of good options, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we kind of knew earlier in the game with the birds that people were picking up and whatnot that it was really going to be kind of, Kolaru needed to hit on some big birds and some bonus cards. Like you say, he's got the big birds part down, some nice pink powers, but yeah, the bonus cards, it's just one of those setups where, Davim's setup is so strong, you need to really hit everything to be able to overcome it, and Kolaru just unfortunately for them hasn't been able to do that.
Yep. So they have managed to get those 2 pink powers down, of course. So that is nice. They will have to be a little bit careful though, just on the egg space. So both of them are going to be laying in those bowl nests, and between the Vireo and the Blue Jay, they've only got 4 spaces there. They've got some good options. So another big point bird in the flycatcher. And the tanager as well that they might look to play. That's worth a few points as well. So really, I think for them at this point, you're in that last round. You don't want to be spending too many turns and not scoring high points. So I think they'll want to try and get something down, clear out some of these spaces, and score points, but at least make sure that you're giving space for those free eggs that I'm sure Kolaru knows that they're going to be coming in this last round.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know. They might do something like, okay, you get the flycatcher down. Actually, I don't even know that you want to, kind of want to run eggs at this point for them. I mean, I'm not saying never, but they've only got 11 spaces, and 4 of them are going to get filled really quick.
Yeah.
So maybe they look at something like, okay, play the tanager, and then your bowl nest spaces are covered. Then you can get a whole bunch of food, maybe drop the flycatcher and one of those bonus cards, and hope you get real lucky. Honestly, I'm not even sure what real lucky would look like. I don't know if they could pull out the Chihuahuan horned bonus card, but
yeah, I think you make a good point there. Whenever you are relying on these bonus cards at the end, it's always useful to have in mind, okay, what could I hit? Have I got a lot of a single nest type? Have I got a lot of birds that only go in a certain habitat? You've got to try and think about, okay, these big point bonus cards, if I'm looking for sort of 8+ points from a bonus card to have any chance of winning this game, what could I potentially hit? And you kind of look at this board and only 7 birds. It doesn't give you a whole lot of options. I think Forester probably is their best bet for 4 points. Omnivore as well could get 4. So there's a couple of sort of decent options that would score respectably. I think 4 points is always good. You take that at the end of the game, but certainly not great options. And actually, we see there they've got the Falcon and not the food web expert. But again, it's another 0
might
points.
As well be.
It might as well be a food web expert, because no real options in their hand. Nothing in the tray, not that they would want to look to draw birds at this point. But I think the play probably, just while I was thinking as I was talking there, I think you play the flycatcher here. You can get an egg, you can get a worm from it when you lay eggs, and then maybe they might look to force that spotted owl down, and you just pray, looking for that omnivore or that Forester bonus cards, and just hope for something like that. But I have to say it's unfortunately not looking so good for Kolaru here, when you pan back over to Davim's board and just see this whole array of strong birds and eggs and tuck cards and everything. So I think it certainly looks like it could well be a big difference in the score here.
Yeah, I think so, and that's not really a knock on Kolaru. I mean, even if you were to take the best Wingspan player in the world, I'm not sure that with these, like with the exact same card draws and the feeder rolls and everything, like if they're they're playing Champ of the Birds, right, where it's all predetermined. Like, I'm not sure that they would be able to take out Veeam's setup here with the cards that they've been drawing. So thankfully, it is 2 out of 3, and I think Kolaru is just gonna have to try to do the best that they can to kind of put this game behind them and really do what they can to get it to a third game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen the card draw. We've seen the contrast in the sort of quality of birds that both players has drawn, and yeah, I think it's always tough when you come up against something like this. But like you say, we do have a best of 3, so I've been in these positions before where you're in a best of 3 and you play that game 1, and things just don't go your way, but you've got to keep your head high. You've got to remind yourself, I'm still in this. There is still 2 more games to play, and anything can happen. We might see a reversal of fortunes in game 2, and you take it to that game 3, and then it's all just down to who can deal with the pressure and get the good card draw there. So yeah, absolutely. Kolaru not out of this yet, and they'll still be fighting.
Yeah, and I guess it does bring up a question. Maybe this would be maybe this would be good for a poll, right? But if you're going to lose the first game of a tournament game, would you rather it be by 30 or by 1?
Yeah.
Which, and I'm sure that people's answers to that are going to differ. Some people would prefer one versus the other, but I mean, I think a lot of people might prefer to just get creamed because it's a lot easier to put that behind you than if you can't really second guess yourself, right? It's like, oh, what could I have done differently to get me 40 more points?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, we've all played enough Wingspan to have these games where you get absolutely destroyed just because your opponent has got such a nice engine. They're really building things up strongly, and yeah, you kind of look back on that and you think, do you know what could I have done? There's nothing more I could have done to improve my score there. Like you say, I think those really close ones where you do lose by just a few points and you think, oh, if only I'd won that end of round goal, or oh, maybe I should have laid eggs instead of playing that bird. When you have all of those what ifs, that can easily carry through into game 2, and if you start doubting your decisions and start questioning what you're doing, that's where you really fall into problems. So yeah, I mean, when you posed that question, I thought to myself, I'd much rather lose a close game than get absolutely destroyed, just because it can be so demoralizing to lose big in that game 1. But I think there is kind of this mental side of it as well, where yeah, you don't want to be doubting yourself. We've got a long nut of Wingspan ahead, so you gotta stay focused and yeah, make sure that you're playing your best game.
Yeah. Now, interesting pointed out in the chat that chickadee that Kolaru started with is still in their hand.
Yep.
Can't imagine we see that very often, where you start with a tier A bird and for one reason or another just doesn't get played. I mean, I know it does happen. I've done it myself, but
yeah. I was going to say I wasn't going to pick up on that because I've definitely done that myself as well. So
oh yeah,
we've all been there. But yeah, sometimes I think it's easy to kind of criticize those things. I think maybe in this position, that probably should have gone down early on. We really did see Kolaru struggling for card draw, but Wingspan is all about kind of reacting to changing situations. And so you might pick up a really good bird that feels amazing, and then things change, and so it does just sit in your hand. But yeah, it can happen in the game. So okay, not a terrible bonus card draw there. Prairie Manager, they do at least score because they managed to get that flycatcher down, so 3 points. Like I said, I think 3 or 4 points is about the benchmark. And it looks like with the food they've kept, they're going to be trying to get that long spur down as well. So they'll give themselves a second bite at the cherry and yeah, see if they can get another nice bonus card. And yeah, if you keep this as a respectable margin, again, it comes back down to what we were talking about before. You're not getting it so close that you have those what if questions, but you kind of keep your spirits high, keep yourself motivated.
Yeah, unfortunately,
what is Davim doing here? Is he changing his background? I don't know if that was intentional. I've never seen that before. Someone going and changing their settings.
War still rages in the Pacific Rim. Apparently,
okay. It's very odd. Might have to ask him about that later.
Yeah, I was really rooting for Kolaru to get the score 8 points for every bird played bonus card, but
that would be nice.
It was not to be.
Not
Although
to
that
be.
still might not be enough, but
No, no. But yeah, I mean, even with a really nice bonus card, I mean, even with the Prairie Manager there, it's still 3 points from 3 bonus cards. Really, kind of not what you're hoping for. So again, they'll be hoping for a good draw from this Prairie Chicken. Something like Forester, Omnivore, like we said before. I think Ecologist, they'll score 4 as well. So they do have some options. Obviously, there'll be plenty where they won't score either. But Moment of Truth, what are they going to get from this bonus card? Let's have a look.
drum roll.
Yeah, I need to get that sound effect. And it's a 0 point, so unfortunate. But like we said, yeah, that is the risk. That is the risk of playing those birds late. So yeah, I think it is what it is, and their last turn's pretty straightforward here. I think they'll just be laying eggs, filling up some of those spots. I think this end of round goal was kind of already out of the question, so Davim is going to take that, and yeah, they've kind of played this smart. They've got that swan down at the right time, cleared out some of those egg spaces, and they can lay eggs here, get the tucks, skip the raven, and fill up on that last egg spot. So I think it's always nice when you can, finish your round like this, where you've kind of not left things on the table, you've kind of maximized on your tucks, you've filled up on your egg spaces, but not to the point where you've run out. I think that's always a satisfying feeling.
Sure, yeah, one piece of food, or excuse me, no, no food left. 3 cards. Yeah, that's. I think Davim is real happy with how they played this one.
Absolutely. So we'll go into the scores. And yeah, I don't think it'll be too much of a surprise here. We did do a little poll for what the score was going to be, and the most popular option was for Davim to score just in the low hundreds. But I mean, you look at this score now, and it's pretty close. I think Davim is going to kind of overtake at the end here with all these tuck cards. But just for a second there, you thought Kolaru was going to come through, and there we go. We have Davim on 109, which is just about in the most popular choice in the poll. So congratulations to our viewers, but more importantly, congratulations to Davim, who does very comfortably in the end take this game on. So very well played to Davim, but like we said, it's a best of 3, so Kolaru, they'll dust themselves down, but they know they're not out of it this one.
No doubt they're about to get a second bite at the cherry, as you say. I don't know what that is. Is that your fruit of choice? I mean, here in the U.S. we would say another bite at the apple.
Oh no, absolutely cherry here. Cherries all the way, and it's Wingspan, so I think cherry's more topical.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I know George Washington had the cherry tree, and I don't, and of course George Washington was English. It wasn't until the 8th president, I believe, Martin Van Buren, who was actually the first president who was born in the United States. So there you go. That's about all he's known for, and even then, probably most people here don't know him. So
I'm really hoping that commentator goes off on a ramble is on the bingo board, but I have a feeling
guaranteed.
But there you go. Cool. All right. So moving swiftly on.
That's about all the response that deserved. Okay, cool. Okay, cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro. I think we might have just briefly lost Davim on the stream, so we'll just check in. Obviously, between games, not too much of a problem, but yeah, just keep talking amongst yourselves. But yeah, we will have Davim going first in this game 2, and I think this is kind of fairly well agreed across the server that going first does give you a slight advantage. We did collect some data from the recent Premier League. I say recent, it finished about 2 or 3 months ago, I think. But I think it was something like 53% chance of winning if you go first, compared to 47 going second. So it's a slight advantage, and certainly something you take. But yeah, like we said, it's anyone's game, and if Kolaru gets that kind of card draw that Davim had in game 1, then absolutely anything can happen.
Oh, no doubt. I was going to say it's first is considered a slight advantage to everybody but you, I think.
Yeah, we talked about this. Like I said, anecdotally, I felt like I preferred going second. Certainly with house rules, I like the option to see that tray in round 2, because if there is one of those OP birds that you can't play in round 1, you can pick it up and play it. Obviously, there are some disadvantages where you've not been able to plan around it and everything. But yeah, I mean, like my stats from the Premier League, I won more games going second than I did going first. So might just be confirmation bias or anything like that. But yeah, I think it is generally agreed that going first is stronger. But I certainly do prefer going second. But anyway, enough about me. We'll have a look at Davim, and that starting hand is awful, but the tray is looking pretty tasty. I guess the question is, do you go for the Tauhi or do you go for the Robin?
Yeah, that would be great. I don't know what Davim's starting hand is because I don't see their stream on
Oh, you
here.
might need to go and click and get it back up, because they did drop off, but
There we
it's come
go.
back up. So yeah, 2 pink powers and and 3 white powers. Really not ideal. But yeah, I think probably the Kingfisher is the standout there. That star nest is going to help with this 2 end of round goals. If you play that as your first bird, you're pretty much guaranteed to get at least 1 free fish, if not more. And yeah, I might be looking at the vulture here as well. If they are keeping the titmouse, they must have in mind something that they're going to use that double power on, rather than just gamble. But yeah, I mean, Davim, they're in the luxury position of getting first dibs on what they want from the tray. So they'll at least be able to plan a little bit around. Okay, I know I'm either going to play the Tauhi or the Robin somewhere in there. So yeah, I'm I'm intrigued as to where they're going to go from this, because I don't think it's at all obvious at the moment.
No, I mean, what do you think? I mean, my inclination is going to be to lean towards the tuck and draw bird. I mean, I think that's
Mm,
just so powerful in terms of it's like you can if you're cycling through cards, you can more easily remedy a food problem than I think you
yeah,
can remedy a card problem by getting another piece a week.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think my initial thought was Tauhi. You can keep the vulture, the kingfisher, and the titmouse. You pick up the Tauhi, you play that. You lay eggs. It's going to give you a seed that you can use to play the titmouse and the vulture as a double play, and then you've
Mhm.
got 2 forest birds, so you can at least start to generate a bit more food. And then obviously that kingfisher is going to go down as soon as possible. You've got 2 birds for that first end of round goal. Certainly, that feels like the more accelerated start. I feel like you can get things set up quicker. But yeah, I mean, the Robin is well known that those tuck and draws are some of the strongest birds in the game. So it feels a shame to miss that when it is in the tray. But again, another starting hand, another really terrible one. Yeah, not great on the bonus cards either. Another one of those vultures, and yeah, some pretty poor brown powers to go with it. So really a tricky one there as well. Yeah, what would you keep from these?
Um, I would I would have to be talked off a ledge at this point. I think this is, uh, this is not good. Yeah, I mean, the warbler and the merganser you can rule out. See, no,
Yeah,
this here I can't actually say something positive here, right? Which is that when you find yourself in a bad spot like this, it can be easier to things out
yeah,
rather than try to figure out what you're going to rule in. You just narrow the universe, right? So it's like, yeah, you the merganser and the warbler. The warbler's too expensive. The merganser is nobody likes that bird, and the condor, the vulture, the grasshopper sparrow. They're all cheap, and they're all gonna help you at least more quickly make up for the fact that your starting hand kind of stinks. I mean, you got speed. They give you the advantage of speed, and you're going to be getting either the Tohi or the Robin, so you can kind of
yeah.
plan around that fact. I would look to be doing what I think Kolaru is doing, which is probably keep all 3 of them.
Yeah, and yeah, we've got some good points to the chat. Not great birds, but they're cheap. So, 2 birds here that aren't going to cost anything to get down. You can play these really quickly, and I think there is an advantage to having these cheap birds early on that you can play so easily, because you want to get as many birds down as possible so that you're able to benefit from them, increase your card draw, your food draw, your egg draw, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, and
No, go on.
yeah, and I know the two bonus cards that they were having to
Yeah.
choose between were hot garbage. But if you look at it, like this setup, they're going to have 4 birds towards their backyard. At least you still know you're going to get at least 3 points from, and you have a decent shot of maxing it out. Of course, you'd prefer higher point birds and whatnot, right? But at least you get kind of a little bit of a compensation for your slow start.
Yep, absolutely. So we do see Davim go for the Robin. One thing I was just thinking about there is what made Kolaru's decision a bit harder, I guess, is that they didn't know which of those they were going to get. I mean, obviously you take either. Like we said, they're both really nice birds to get early down, and I think certainly that's going to help Kolaru with the food draw a little bit. Obviously, seeing that they don't have those strong brown power forest birds that are going to get you more food, I think certainly this will keep them going in this first round at least. But yeah, when you don't know which one you're going to get, you can't plan around getting the Robin and then see it taken by your opponent. But yeah, I think probably kind of straightforward here for Kolaru. They're going to look to get that Condor down. I know Teire in the chat is going to be very excited to see that played, and yeah, maybe try and get that Vulture down as well in the wetlands, and just start digging. When you have a bad starting hand like this, I think the key is just give yourself good access to cards, because if you've not got great ones, you want to see as many as possible until you do get some good ones.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask actually about the Osprey. Now, I don't know how I feel about just going for a single card draw right now. I mean, maybe they could look at it as a very, they know that with, Davim in all likelihood is probably playing that Robin in the grassland, and the Osprey, is going to be very easy for Davim to play with that Kingfisher. So maybe the Osprey would be a reasonable pickup now, even though you're only doing a single card. But I mean, I would have thought it'd be a decent bird for them anyway. It's 5 points for 1 food. You have food problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
I think it does. They're looking at this woodpecker, and I could maybe understand that as well. So they've already got the worm. You lay eggs twice. You fill up that towhee. You've got 2 seeds, and you can play the woodpecker. They've probably got their eye on those seeds in the feeder as well. My concern probably with that is that you are then going too heavy on the seeds. I think at least like you were saying with the osprey, it is going to help your food. It's going to help you with different food. So you're getting fish and you're getting seeds from different habitats. And yeah, fish is kind of the food you want if you're going to build up your wetlands. So the osprey is a really nice option, I think, in the wetlands. You're drawing cards. You're hoping for things like, the Clark's Grebe, like the tern that we saw in the last game. You're looking for those kind of birds, and then you can play them straight away because you've just been given a fish from your osprey as well.
Yeah. Now here we've got a little bit of an improvement on the bonus card front for sure. Yeah. And if they were teasing the woodpecker before, I mean, I think what we're going to see here, I suspect, is that we may see Davim just either lay the Robin in the grassland and then lay some eggs and tuck it, pick up the osprey and throw that down, or potentially they just go ahead and grab it now.
I'd look to grab it now, because you've just been given that fish from your opponent playing the condor. You can get that down no problems, and yeah, straight away I think that's the right play. You get that down, suddenly you're able to draw 2 cards without having to spend those eggs. It's a 5-point bird in its own right, helps with their bonus card, and yeah, it's just going to give them access to cards. And then, like you were saying just there, you look to get that Robin down in your grasslands and cycle through those cards. I mean, they've got quite a nice pickup there in the catbird. It might be a bit expensive for now, but if they are able to get some food generation in round 2, then it's not a bad bird to play even sort of in that mid to late game. So maybe something they look to keep hold of.
Sure. Oh yeah. If they can pick up something like ideally I think for them would be maybe a hummingbird, where it's you get it down for 1 food, and then you're going to be able to get that extra food that'll let you get the catbird down for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I kind of feel like at the moment both players are sort of looking for what the other has. So certainly Davim in this situation, like you say, they're looking for that food generation. They're looking for a hummingbird or something like that, a Phoebe that's going to get them food. And yeah, I think for Kolaru, you're looking for a tuck and draw. So you get a purple martin or barn swallow or something like that. You get that down easy in your grasslands. Then you're able to cycle through some of these maybe not great cards they're going to be drawing. And yeah, get points and get food at the same time.
Yeah. No, I wonder why this is. What do you think? Is Kolaru planning on putting that in their grassland to kind of make up for their grassland problem, or excuse me, in their wetland so that they can pick up a couple pieces of food while they grab cards? Do you think? Or
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that could potentially work. One thing I would question is they didn't discard the egg for the extra card, and they certainly could have afforded to. They've got a couple of eggs down. They've still got enough turns. That's a really nice timing on that fish, so they can get that woodpecker down. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. I think I'd be going either wetlands or forest. Forest maybe is going to help because otherwise they're just going to be getting seeds, maybe the occasional fish from Davim's Osprey. But I think at some point they are going to want to look at going for that feeder. But yeah, Sparrow I think is kind of a good play here for their grasslands. I think this is smart. You use the seed, you lay eggs, you get a seed back from the Towhee, then you can play the woodpecker. It's going to help with this end of round goal as well. But yeah, I think that's going to be their next key decision is where do I play this woodpecker?
yeah, and I mean, I wonder if what they're thinking is, because like you say, okay, if they they know that they'll get some seeds from the Towhee, maybe they'll get another couple fish from Davim's Osprey. That'll be slow going, but yeah, you drop that woodpecker in the forest. You're going to need some eggs in the forest at some point, and that has, I believe, 3 spaces. Whereas it looks like Davim is kind of leaning away from their forest right now. I mean, yeah, I think there's a case to be made for either spot, really.
Yeah, so an interesting play from Davim there. He did go for the food and just took that single worm. I can only assume that means that the robin's going to go down, and he is going to start sort of trying to cycle through and yeah, get some birds that way. But I'm kind of intrigued as to why he's not played something like the Blue Jay first. You could play the Blue Jay. He's got some spare cards in his hand. Maybe you discard and get more food. He's not going to be able to play the robin now unless he's completely abandoning this first end of round goal, because I don't think he's got any eggs. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how Davim is going to play this, because I don't think that's how I would have done that.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's definitely kind of an unusual setup for both players here. Not that anything that they're doing is wrong or doesn't make sense given the circumstances, but like Kingfisher, Osprey, and I've got a robin, and here's a bunch of stuff, and then like, okay, my wetlands consist of a condor and a vulture. Like, it's just kind of they're both kind of dealing with some really kind of subpar starts for sure. Exactly. on account of the card draws.
Yeah. However, this is a much nicer looking tray. Certainly, I think the chipping sparrow and the chickadee, for me at this point, I'd say they're must takes, both of them, because you kind of see your opponent with no forest, no real semblance of anything forming there, and the tray is just given 2 A-tier birds, but they've gone from the deck, so now they can only take 1, which is a shame, because I think those are both amazing for Davim. I just hope Kolaru takes at least one of them, because if not, that is just going to be an absolute game changer for Davim. He really needs something in his forest, and those are both really nice options.
Yeah, I mean, you could have taken both of them and then got them down, bang bang, and now all of a sudden you're getting 2 food and 2 points, and you're in this forest quickly.
Yeah, that to me that doesn't feel like the time when you gamble. When you have a weak card draw like this, I don't think you can afford to gamble from the deck when there are such nice options in the tray. I'm all for gambling from the deck if the tray isn't great. We saw it in that first round. Davim kept drawing blind from the deck because the birds in that tray were just not really that good. But when
Mhm.
there's birds like that there, I think you have to go for them. And yeah, for me, that is a big miss there from Kolaru.
Yeah, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Especially, I mean, you could have gotten, yeah, lots of food and points pretty quickly. Maybe you grab that shoveler that
Mm.
Davim's not really in a position to play. It's 7 points. You could have the food for that pretty quickly, and all of a sudden, you can get 3 cards, or 4 if you want, from your terrible wetland.
Absolutely, and yeah, I mean, like you say, that shoveler, it would be so easy for Kolaru to get the food. They've already got the worm they need, and they can easily get seeds from that Tauhi. And yeah, it's a 7 point bird. It's going to really kind of solve that problem they've been having with the card draw, and even beyond that, it's got 4 egg spaces. They're already filling up on eggs. They've only got 4 spaces left. I'm assuming they're going to play something here to at least clear some of those. But yeah, even playing that chipping sparrow, that's just going to generate more eggs. I think when you're going egg heavy, like Kolaru is, these birds that are worth lots of points and have lots of egg spaces, they're worth their weight in gold almost.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And although it's we talked about how strong the chickadee would be for Davim, and he doesn't take it.
Yeah.
So maybe Kalaru's onto something there.
Yeah, I think probably in Davim's position, they were looking at the titmouse and the blue jay and thinking, I can play these. The blue jay's better for this end of round goal, and like some of the points that we made in the first game when the blue jay came up, it's almost better in the early game than things like the chickadee, because you can choose to take the food like Davim has done there. So suddenly you're getting 3 food from your forest, and beforehand he was getting none. So suddenly I feel like Davim is in a better position now. He's got some of these forest birds down. Really, what he's missing is that kind of second really nice grassland bird. Maybe he's going to look to try and get this catbird down. It might take a bit of overpaying, but again, another bowl nest. If he can get both those down, it's certainly a strong position for this end of round goal, and even going forward into the next rounds.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do like about Kalaru's putting the woodpecker down in the wetland now that he's seen Davim, put up that forest where he can get 3 food out of it, is now you can kind of count on the feeder being
Yeah.
being cycled a fair amount, and so I think you can I think you can see a lot more merit to that play once you see Davine get that grassland or that forest out there. I don't know a habitat from my elbow today, so
No, but you made some good points there. I think it is risky with these birds, like the woodpecker, like the indigo bunting. You can so easily get into position with those birds where the bird feeder gets stuck. If Kolaru takes this next seed, that's it. That bird feeder is stuck as it is until someone's going to reset it. And damn well it's not going to be Kolaru resetting it because they haven't got the forest. I think you're right. As soon as you see your opponent signal, okay, I'm building this forest, I'm going to, at least every so often, I'm going to be gaining food. It just helps reset that bird feeder, get you some more seeds, and benefit from it. But yeah, it looks like Kolaru is going to start to get things set up. I think they probably needed that chipping sparrow anyway, just to at least get something as a bowl nest bird down. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see where they go from this. They've got some good wetland birds in their hand finally now. So I think the blackbird and the coot, both nice options. Potentially, you get that coot down, or sorry, you get that blackbird down probably first. You're able to get cards, you get the tuck cards and the egg, and then maybe you get food from the woodpecker as well. But yeah, equally that coot could go on top as well, and you have sort of some weird semblance of a full tuck that isn't really one, but is at least going to get you some card cycle and points at the same time.
yeah. Well, if I'm them, I mean, my inclination is I would lean towards the coot. I mean, I don't think eggs are really going to be an issue for them particularly. They can already get 4 eggs out of their grassland now. The coot's an omnivore, so it's really a 5 point bird instead of a 3 point bird, but it still qualifies for the other bonus card. And you get to see 4 cards, gain a point, and keep 3. Instead of the blackbird is gonna. I mean, let's say you get 3 really strong cards, the blackbird is gonna force you to throw one of them away. So I think the coot just makes more sense to me for that reason.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I forgot about the omnivore, so absolutely, that's effectively a 5-point bird, but again, like you said, it's a 5-point bird that is going to qualify for that bonus card. I do worry a little bit, and someone else has picked this up in the chat. Is Kolaru focusing maybe a bit too much on this backyard birder? I think for me, it's one of those bonus cards where if I meet it, hey, great, that's a bonus, I'll take it. But it's not worth really targeting it, because to even score that maximum threshold, you have to play 7 birds that are worth less than 4 points. And if you're doing that, you're not scoring a lot of points from birds. So it's kind of this double-edged sword of not scoring points to score points. But yeah, I think, the coot, absolutely, for me, that makes sense in this position.
Yeah, well, I don't think they are focusing too much on the bonus, just because if you look at the first 4 birds that they played, like, that was a setup that made sense given what they had.
Yeah.
And so at that point, the chipping sparrow isn't a 1-point bird; it becomes a 4-point bird.
Yeah.
And so I think when you look at that, I don't see them. I don't think in this case that's something they're overly focused on. But I do agree with you wholeheartedly that it's definitely, and I'm guilty of it myself, and I think I even did it in the game of mine that was streamed that you and Motherlove were commentating on, where I was just I did something that was geared more towards a bonus card and not towards gaining additional points. And I mean, we can all kind of get that tunnel vision sometimes, but yeah, in this case I don't get the sense that that's what's happening.
Sorry, I'm trying really hard not to laugh, because I think Davim is waving that indigo bunting at me, knowing that it's going to get tucked. So, yeah, unfortunate. I actually think that could have been a nice option for them to keep, but yeah, just
of course
way.
You do.
Absolutely no bias there, but yeah, I think unfortunate the way that just set itself up. It was the only bird in their hand, and they had to lay eggs there for the end of round goal, and you are not skipping 2 tucks just to play something like the indigo bunting. So it is a shame, but yeah, nice draw there, I think, for Davim on the canvas back. That certainly is going to help their card draw problem a little bit, and again, it's another one of those star nests that's going to help for the bonus card, so they can play it straight away. Yeah, I think that's a nice pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would put them on, we see at 3 out of 4, so then their next platform would get them a 4-point bonus. But more importantly, as we say, don't focus too much on the bonus card, and then we talk about the card, right. More importantly, it's a strong bird in its own right.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a good wider point. I think don't play weak birds to meet your bonus card. Play birds that you are going to probably play anyway, birds that have strong powers or score a lot of points, and if they help towards your bonus card as well, then even better. You see something like the Morning Dove in Davim's hand, it's 0 points, and even if it does help for that platform builder, it's a 0-point bird. I mean, maybe if it's kind of as a last resort, they can justify it. It's going to help them get them eggs as well. But yeah, you see so many times, and yeah, I think we are all guilty of this from time to time, but you don't want to tunnel too hard on a weak bonus card just because it's going to get you a few extra points.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, and this is another thing that I forget sometimes too, where we got to remember the point. If we assume that you're trying to win, right? Like, you're not just sometimes you might play more casually, or some people just really get enjoyment out of like playing a lot of birds. But if we assume that your goal in the game is to try to outscore your opponent, then it doesn't matter what birds you play. It doesn't matter if you meet bonus cards. It doesn't matter if you win end of round goals. Every single move you're doing as a means to try to get the most points, and so the bonus card is just one other means of doing that.
Yep, absolutely. And just as if he's trying to ruin everything that I say, Davim does play the Morning Dove, so I think you can justify it. It's probably, for me, just on that borderline of being too late. If you play that end of round 3, you're probably not going to get enough eggs from it. But certainly he's got enough egg space. Only 4 eggs a turn from that grasslands, and he's got plenty of space for that. So I think that makes sense. But yeah, I'd certainly be looking to get this canvas back now. Definitely, if that's your fourth platform builder bird, although maybe the king rail is a nicer
Or
option now. Yeah, again, Davim just trying to ruin everything that I say. Yeah, I think at this point he's already got the fish. He's going to get another one here from the osprey. So yeah, you can easily get that down, and then just go through that grasslands. It's so strong with those two tucking powers, obviously with the catbird copying the robin. You can cycle through some of these less powerful birds, and yeah, hope for some more nice pickups like the king rail there.
Yeah, and I mean the thing to think about it when you're playing a bird like the dove at this point in the game where it's low points or no points, and it's a bird that whose strength lies in its low cost and its brown power. Right, you just have to look at, okay, what how many times am I going to get to activate that power over the course of the game? Now Davim's got 8 turns left. Maybe he's going to lay eggs. Let's say 4 or 5 more times. Right. So when you look at it that way, I mean, it kind of becomes playing that there kind of becomes you think of it, okay, I mean, a little bit like a 5-point bird with maybe a little bit of amortization for the contribution to the platform builder bonus. So
yeah, don't worry, if you didn't mention amortization, I was gonna jump right in there, so don't you worry.
Yeah, because I can about guarantee you that economics, Groove mentions economics is on the bonus card. So
on the bonus card, I mean, if that was if that was a bonus card, man, you'd be winning every game. Just talk about economics.
Yeah, well, I played the pileated woodpecker. What are you gonna do? Well, let me tell you about Minimax.
Yeah. All right, going back to the game, we have a nice bonus card there for Kolaru. So I think the warbler was a good play there. That's going to help potentially tie, I would expect, this end of round goal. So that's already an extra 3 points. It's helped extend that forest out. So if they do need to get food, they are at least getting more. But yeah, Ulogist, I think when you've already got 8 birds down and you're almost certainly going to play a 9th, it's free 6 points like we said before. So yeah, that's a good draw, and it kind of leads me on to my next point, which is who on earth is going to win this game? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, right now you think, okay, like Davim's got the stronger grasslands for sure, but also, I mean, man, it's like nobody's got any real big point birds. Kolaru, I keep forgetting their name. Kolaru is going to do much stronger on the bonus cards. The EORs, I can't really tell because they're not only are they both puffins, but they both pick colors that are really close to each other.
Yeah.
So I can't tell that at a quick glance. It's granted, it's not quite that. The meme with the guy sweating and the players choose from the bird or choose who will receive first from the bird feeder, and they're the same icon. It's almost there, but Kolaru's got a lot more birds played, it looks like, and so I mean, Davim, we just saw the score is 48 there.
Yeah, which is not
that
great.
Breeding manager. Yeah, but the OP breeding manager, they're going to get 4 points from it at least. If they play the canvas back, they'll get 5.
Yeah. I mean, it is tricky because, like you say, you look at both boards, you think there's not a whole lot of big point birds. I mean, maybe Davim probably slightly edges it. I know he's got a few birds for 4 or 5 points, but kind of I think what Kolaru lacks in high point birds, he makes up for in just quantity, and plenty of birds down. I think with that sapsucker play, that might push them over into the next tier, or they might still need 1 more at least. But with that Burris Blackbird, that suddenly becomes the absolute dream play again. Like we talked about with the Coot earlier, that obviously didn't get played, but this one it's that omnivore bird. It's going to max out that bonus card, and that could be a game changer because that you play that and suddenly you're getting 6 points from your grassland plus a seed that you can turn into another point on the next turn.
Into another egg, yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky one. I think Kolaru, I think it did look like Kolaru had won 2 out of the 3 end of round goals, and we know they're almost certainly going to win this last one just through sheer quantity of birds. So I think any time you can go 3-1 on those end of round goals, you put yourself in a really good position. But yeah, you look at those bonus cards, maxed out one of them, maxed out the Eulogist as well. They're going to score 4 points if they play this Blackbird from the Omnivore. You're looking at sort of 14, 15, 16 points from bonus cards. Devim with a 4-point platform builder and a 3-point breeding manager, maybe not so much. However, if you can get that Woodstock down and pray for another nice bonus card, then that might just shift things back into Devim's favour there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really, I think that's about the only way Devim can pull it off. I mean, because it's going to take them 2 turns, right?
Yeah.
Kolaru's not. Kolaru's not going to play another wetland bird, so Devim is going to have to go to their forest for food, and then play the wood store. I mean, they would have to annihilate that bonus card.
Yeah,
And so
I don't think it's worth it at this point. You look at his grasslands and you think, okay, that's 6 points a turn. You get 4 eggs every turn, but he's got enough space, I think, to manage that for 4 turns. So you take those 6-point turns, and that's guaranteed. If you do spend a turn in the grasslands, like you say, you then have to amortize the points you get from that Woodstock over 2 turns. So suddenly you're targeting 12 points from a single Woodstock, and in reality that is just not going to happen. You need a sort of 6, 7, 8-point bonus card at that point, and just kind of looking at the kind of birds that they've got down, the number of birds, doesn't feel hugely likely. So
no, you basically
not surprising that they're going to go for cards here, or go for eggs, I should say.
Yeah, you're looking at like fishery manager, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of similar for Kolaru. Now they've got that Blackbird down, really straightforward. You lay eggs, you get those 3, you get a tuck and an egg on the Blackbird, and you get another egg from the Sparrow. 6 points easy, and then that seed becomes another point on the next turn. So yeah, I don't think really there's too much thinking. They're kind of debating a little bit over which bird they're going to keep, but I don't think it matters. You've got egg space just about to lay eggs a couple more times, and they're not in any danger of being sniped for this end of round goal, at least.
No. And I mean, even if they were, or if they thought, it's like, okay, hold on to the crossbill, which, let's just say for a second that Devim were somehow to pull 2 birds out of his rear in the next couple of plays. It's like, okay, save the crossbill, and that becomes a 7-point play. So
yeah,
you're fine, dude.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the only one that you'd be able to afford to play. So you having those 2 seeds. So yeah, you just ditch either of the other ones. Really doesn't matter too much. And yeah, I think you just take the eggs here. And again, we kind of look at Devim's score here, 71 with a couple of turns left. We know he's going to score 6 points a turn there. That gets you to 83. Another 4 from that end of round goal, up to 87. Maybe he might get 1 or 2 more from the breeding manager, because I think he has still got a couple of birds that he can max out. But it's not a bad score considering the number of birds down and kind of that starting hand we saw. It certainly feels strong, but yeah, I think my inkling at the moment is that Kolaru's going to win this. But I will quickly put out a poll just to see what our viewers think.
Yeah, I mean, Kolaru's score just flashed, and I think it was 76. Yeah, and so they're going to get 7 points on this play, plus they're going to get 7 from the end of round. I guess I'm assuming they've already maxed out their religious bonus card. And if for some reason it came down to that, they would own the tiebreaker, or they would be tied on food. Excuse me. Yeah. So
can you imagine that? Oh no, because Devim has got 3, so
no. But they're going to pick up one from. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and maybe even Devim might potentially. I think they want to be discarding here to get that extra egg anyway. So yeah, Kolaru would just about edge it. I don't think my blood pressure can cope with a tie game after all that we've seen in this one, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
how's
going to be
Davim's
close.
blood pressure?
Well,
How's-
yeah, that's the more important question. Yeah, it is certainly going to be close. You know, I think if you're Davim, you know, when you're watching those scores count up, you know you're going to have the edge on the tuck cards. So you're watching it count up and you're thinking, please be at least within sort of 10 points or something as we come into those tuck cards, just to at least give yourself a shot. And yeah, it's a lot of eggs and it's a lot of tuck cards. So let's have a look. It's going to be a really tight one, I feel, as we go into the scores here.
Yeah, I think Kolaru's just going to nip him, but maybe by about 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, we see Kolaru gets that early lead. The bonus cards and those end of round goals, I think, are huge. And both players pretty close on eggs. And it is going to come down, I think, to these tuck cards. And Davim nicks it by a single point. Wow.
Wow.
I did not expect it to go that way. What a game. What an ending. And yeah, we had the poll. 75% of people thought Kolaru was going to win, as we both did, I think. But Davim, by the absolute skin of his teeth, that last second, maybe it was those eggs for the breeding manager that just nicked it at the end. But wow, my goodness, that was very tense.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Your poor blood pressure, Flan.
Well, Davim's poor blood pressure. Like I said, you know, you're watching these scores count up, and it was about 10. Well, it was exactly 10 tuck cards different. So you look at that, and you think, I just need to be close to have myself, you know, in with a chance of getting it. But yeah, you know, I think well played to both players, considering those absolutely shocking starting hands that we saw, and just how much they struggled. Kind of getting things going. I mean, obviously, the Robin I think was really strong for Davim, but equally that Tauhi was working well for Kolaru. So yeah, it was a very 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 strong game, I think, there in the end, and some good scores.
No doubt. Yeah, and I think we've got looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 15 bingo squares checked off, but no bingo.
No bingo. I mean, maybe we needed 3 conspiracy theory squares on there if we were going to have a chance.
Yeah, well, we didn't ignore chat for a significant time. Apparently, we didn't mention choking.
That is
didn't
a
mention
success.
choking. Yeah,
No.
didn't add up all potential points in round 4, and didn't guess point differences before round 3. Okay.
And no black-chinned hummingbird. What is this? That's the real conspiracy theory, I think. No black-chinned hummingbird.
Missed opportunities by us. That's.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking back at this and thinking, man, God, if only we would have, you know, could have seen the black-chinned hummingbird. What could I have done differently?
Exactly. But yeah, well played, I think, to both players, like I said, and
no doubt.
Congratulations goes to Davim, who advances again into the semi-final. So they will be looking to get themselves into another final, and yeah, absolutely. Well played. This is the point where I would tell you who they're going to come up against, but I don't think that quarterfinal has yet been played. So definitely stay tuned for that, as well as any future live streams that we do have for this tournament. But yeah, thank you very much to Groovenstein for joining me today. That was two really good games, and it could easily have gone to 3. So yeah, thank you for joining me in this stream today.
Cheers! Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, and thank you as well to all of our viewers. As I said, we will look to do some more of these live streams, so definitely stay tuned. Keep your eyes peeled, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much for joining.